Good evening and welcome to a new edition of To The Point. This evening we'll be debating quite a hot issue. It seems relations between the United States and North Korea are on track for a change. President Trump, in his inauguration speech when he came to office, did not have any positive tone, to put it mildly, towards President Kim, yet they managed to strike a deal. And it seems both presidents are adamant on peace and denuclearization of North Korea. How far will that go will be under discussion this evening with a distinguished gentleman. With us this evening is Dr. Yousry Abushady, who is the former head of the Safeguards Operations Section at the IAEA. A pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
Dr. Yousry, did you expect that one day we will see the American and the North Korean presidents sitting side by side, signing any form of agreement, and that North Korea would agree to denuclearization?
Actually, maybe people do not remember, that's not the first time about denuclearization. That happened already in 1994, and in 2007. So it's not something new. What is new actually is, of course, the meet between the two top of each country, and that's is quite new. It's the first time in the history actually. However, we are waiting a real result. Now, I am just worried about two persons like very much the media and the show. And what I see today happened was extreme show. In reality, that both are going to meet and to express good wishes, while 1 month ago only was Trump actually insulting really the president of North Korea. Now let's really go to hope and as a practice. Whether such meeting will result in real progress in convincing North Korea to get rid of all its nuclear weapons, I put a big question mark.
Why? Well, it seems that you're not, I don't say optimistic, but you're questioning the whole scenario.
Because simply there was in 1994 another agreement called Agreed Framework. And that agreement was actually considered to freeze the most important or sensitive facilities. And IAEA at that time really was applying safeguard as normal and also applying the freeze or Agreed Framework agreement to prove that North Korea will not operate these facilities, which are facilities can produce for nuclear weapon. But what happened after, which something very surprising to me, to see one of the member of the American team, the ambassador John Kelly. He is currently the chief in staff for Trump. That man, I still remember when I was responsible of North Korea in October 2002, in a very critical moment where we are about to complete our verification in North Korea to prove that this country does not have nuclear weapons, as accusation, American accusation.
So in 2002?
So in 2002, exactly October, that ambassador claimed wrongly that the North Korea had acknowledged that they have already a nuclear weapon and they have enrichment, which was
even
lie.
Though the IAEA did not confirm that.
Correct. And
okay.
Not only that, the North Korea produced the record in Korean language, translated. That ambassador was a liar.
Okay.
And very strange, that ambassador is today a member of the Trump team. In the meantime, because of such wrong accusation, Americans decided to stop any cooperation. They were giving really some help to freeze the facilities. And of course, North Korea withdraw from the NPT and get free hand to make their nuclear weapon. And that's why I'm saying really that American is the country making North Korea as a nuclear weapon state. It is America. Why? Okay, they have a lot of reason and balance here. That's why I'm not going with the media to have too much optimistic.
Behind the scenes, you know, the inside story. But as you had mentioned, this is the first time that we see the two presidents sitting together. Would this make a difference?
Only because the personality of the two persons. Actually, Trump is a president who, from one way, it's a good point that he doesn't bear too much to the pressure from other bodies in United States.
Yes.
For example, a CIA, and he doesn't listen much to these bodies, and he has his own personality to take quite strange decision, like the decision taken today afternoon when he stopped only individually this cooperation, military cooperation between South Korea and USA. Suddenly he stopped everything without advising the army of both countries, actually. This other man is a young man, the Kim Jong-un, and apparently he reached what he wants or his country wants. They just a few months ago exploded the most strong nuclear weapon, hydrogen bomb, in the country, and therefore he reached all. They had 6 explosion tests. He had material enough to several bombs, and therefore, okay, that is the time when he should stop, like most of other countries, like the whole country. He was the only one who continued really with that.
After reaching that, after reaching that stage whereby you are that developed nuclearly, so to speak, why should he stop?
Then the solution is not as we see that it is easy paragraph written in their agreement today.
Is it that easy to stop?
Of course not. But what was written, that North Korea will work to make a denuclearization in Korean Peninsula. So that doesn't mean really he's going to denuclearize today. It is a long way. He doesn't care much. He now sit with the country which was considered North Korea acts of devil, and is one of the worst countries in the world. Now he sit head-to-head with the President of the United States, and the United States stopped any military cooperation with South Korea. In the meantime, what he gave Trump, that he said, I will stop nuclear explosion, which actually a decision taken before, because he did all what he want. He had also today afternoon that he also will stop the missile test. Okay, that also happened before, not something new. So what will be really the compensation for that? We should see. They think really
well, the sanctions will continue. From what I understood, Trump said that the sanctions will continue until he sees North Korea without this nuclear.
No. Of course not. I mean, they are not stupid. The sanction will be gradually reduced. It didn't happen today, yes, because it is too much step ahead. Then he want really to make it later. But at least today they succeeded in some measure, not very, very strong measure, and North Korea is not that stupid to denuclearize everything, to get rid of all nuclear weapons, and then the sanction would be removed. I don't believe that.
Again, I'm a bit confused. Why should North Korea, after reaching what it reached, yield? Why? What does it need from the United States? Because nothing is done for free nowadays.
Sure.
What does President Kim want from the United States?
In my view, the real only situation when North Korea will lean to get rid of all its nuclear weapons is the unification with South Korea. You know, both are one country, actually. They speak the same language. You were one country in the 50s, beginning of 50s. After the war in the 50s, they divided into two parts. One part became very rich because of the help of the West, and one part, unfortunately, became really quite poor and directed toward military actions. But they are always, as I was there really for very long periods, they still like each other. They are brothers, actually, families, the same families, etc. And what I am thinking about East and West Germany experiment, that the South Korea had to pay for that a little bit. When they really make this unification, then that will be the way automatically had to dismantle the nuclear weapon in the north. It is not United States. Not state, okay, can play some positive role, but I think there is a lot of doubts about
So the purpose is to get, to consolidate with South Korea? This is the purpose?
The unification, to give support. Of course, North Korea consider today is a victory for them. Because North Korea was always for years and years say, I would like to sit with United States tete-a-tete, not through many, and never United States agreed to that. And it was always several other countries. Now, for political reason, they achieve a victory, really, by their president sit in the same table with U.S. president, praising each other, and etc. I'm sure really they feel this is a victory. Now, what will be after? That's the question. Really.
What will be after?
What will be after,
Are you
of course?
expecting that something will materialize in terms that North Korea would actually demilitarize or denuclearize, and relationship will be on par with the United States? Are you expecting things to go in that direction?
They declared today that within a week they will start negotiation. Today also the North Korea announced really the destruction of explosion test site and also the site for missile. What I know that almost both sides had technical defects to the extent that North Korea should get rid of that sites in any way. But they declared
so there was,
through this as an action.
So in any way, I mean, in all scenarios, there were futile sites that North Korea declared it is eliminating.
Yeah. However, the denuclearization as itself means really North Korea to move all. That is a long way, I believe.
Is it? As someone that really worked in that field, and you worked with North Korea especially for a very, very long time, once you reach that far in terms of nuclear power, is it easy just to say, I will shut it all down? Especially when you know that there are other countries in this world that have this power, and maybe even a greater power. Okay,
then let's really go to the logic, really. How many countries have nuclear weapons? 9. The 5 big countries which are having the veto decision, and India, Pakistan, Israel, and North Korea. So why any of these countries will get rid of their nuclear weapon?
Why should they?
We already, the whole world, practically almost the whole world, signed and ratified the Non-Proliferation Treaty. And one of the paragraphs in Non-Proliferation Treaty that all big countries having nuclear weapon, they get rid of this nuclear weapon. Unfortunately, the agreement did not put a date when, within 20 years, 30 years. Today,
so
we
all
have
the countries,
50
even the 5
years,
permanent members have
and
to
nothing
get rid of
happened. And nothing, okay, reduce a little bit, but nothing. They are still the same.
Yes.
Recently, actually, just a few months ago, there was a very important decision taken in the General Assembly, actually supported, that all to abandon or forbidden the ownership of nuclear weapon, and ask, of course, all states to get rid of all nuclear weapons. Now, how it can be this decision implemented, that is a big question mark, but it is a decision of the United Nations. Now, I believe if at last really this country, big country, agreed to get rid of the nuclear weapon, sure, the smaller country will follow. But when, that's the question, really. So we still wait. Yeah.
If that is the scenario, then why is it that we're imposing sanctions on one country that has nuclear weapons when others are actually having them? I mean, why double stand?
Good question.
I mean, why impose a sanction on North Korea because it has nuclear weapons, yet we're leaving Israel?
Very good question. Because simply I consider that the American consider Israel as their daughter. That's the daughter of the United States. And therefore, Israel is always protected from everything. Nobody really talk about Israel, or we are always, when we try to convince that Israel should follow the NPT, there is absolutely no support or even objection from United States. Now we go to North Korea, no, that is risky. Go to Iran, go to any other countries of this, Iraq before, and even Syria now. Yes, that's all allowed. But Israel, nobody can touch that.
What is the power of the IAEA? In other words, if we go back to the Iraqi scenario, a country was destroyed on alleged weapons of nuclear destruction, and it turns out that so far there is no proof that there is weapons of mass destruction. You were handling the North Korean file, and you just said...
Iraq.
And Iraq. Until 2002, North Korea did not have weapons of nuclear destruction. And I'm repeating, they did not have weapons. Am I correct in what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yet...
And I proved that to many, especially the American and the CIA American. I proved that they don't have nuclear weapon.
Did Iraq
there was
have...
always, no, I'm talking about North Korea.
And did Iraq have...
Now, Iraq, of course, Iraq has a nuclear weapon program. We know that program till the first war. And in 91, with the first war, of course, we discovered a lot, not actually the IAEA, it is the intelligence sources which help the IAEA to understand, and then the Iraqians themselves declared actually all the program. We spent several years actually till 97, 98 in Iraq till we knew complete story of the reactor secret program. Yes, Iraq had a nuclear weapon program. They admit that. We know as IAEA inspectors, we confirmed in 97, 98 that the whole program, nuclear military program of Iraq, has been destroyed, and Iraq is now has nothing. And at that time, it was a very important conclusion from the IAEA for removing the sanction, according to the Security Council.
So before Iraq was attacked, the IAEA said...
Yes, you talk about the second one, second war.
Yes.
That's correct. That was the position of the IAEA. We reported that, although I don't want to go now into political situation. The Director General of the IAEA at that time introduced some question in our report, which weakened the report. And in the meantime, he did not ask the Security Council to meet to review our report. And that report kept in the offices of the Security Council for 11 years. After everything destroyed, Iraq,
the report
everything,
which you,
our report, which I shared that report.
Which says Iraq's weapons of mass destruction have been destroyed.
Yes. And we are ready now to make ongoing monitoring activity, long-term monitoring, to prove it will not come back again. But we said it's finished, the old program is finished. However, there were some bodies, some countries, some responsible even in the IAEA were not happy with our technical report. And when it comes the second war in 2003, and we also stated very clearly to our management that the Iraq does not have or reactivate their nuclear program. They didn't translate our words exactly as we said. Might be using some flexible word, probably. We need more time to confirm these kind of things.
But it didn't stop the attack.
Exactly. That's
Sir, I want to ask you, the technical team that issued this report, was it an Arab team?
No, of course not.
Okay, I'm asking this question because you could be accused of being biased because, you know, I mean, Iraq is a brotherly country. No, maybe you're biased.
The team had a lot of variety. The majority are in the direction of the West. But I should say really at this period, particularly 97, 98, the head of the team, the Iraqi action team was British. And he was very honest, and he was very close to me. I know him since I joined the IAEA, and he believed in me. That's why he took me with him in most of the inspection and missions in Iraq, and he allowed me actually to write or to draft the last report. I drafted, of course, with him, but then it came really the interference of Director General to change part of the report and so on. All the story,
The reason I'm asking this is because it seems that even though a technical agency with reputable people issues a report saying this is the scenario, yet this is not adopted.
Yes.
We see this with the Iraq, we see this with North Korea, to the extent that after this bashing, North Korea decided to actually go nuclear.
We see it in Iran, we see it in Syria. For a certain period, it was Libya as well. And Egypt itself was attacked by either false report or...
What's the solution? Because it seems that the specialized body issues a report, the report goes to the United Nations, the United Nations somehow manages to disappear or vanish or be shelved, yet military action is taken, and sanctions, which are even worse than sometimes the military action, are taken. You can do crippling sanctions whereby you just wipe out the country economically. What can be done to... The issue is not just to denuclearize, but to protect those that do not have those nuclear weapons from such accusations.
Yeah, first really let me hope that the IAEA, which should be just executive secretariat, IAEA is not a political organization, like a General Assembly or
but it's
like
a
Security Council. It's a technical secretariat for the execution of different agreement or...
but it's an important part of the equation.
Yeah,
it
and
is the
therefore the responsibility of IAEA to be fully neutral and not be affected by any pressure. But we should not forget really that 25% of all UN organizations financed by the United States, especially in the safeguards in the IAEA, United States share up to 40% really of the budget.
Okay.
I wouldn't really say that should influence.
But
many times not, but it happened. It depends again who is the responsible. Whether this responsible lean to pressure, lean to really...
Dr. Yousry, you lived the scenarios.
Yeah.
Did it not happen?
It happened, of course, really. It happened even, as I said, even to Egypt at certain time. Unfortunately, yes, it caused dramatic events in Iraq. We cannot forget really that
the destruction of Iraq.
A million of people killed in Iraq with a kind of Bush administration referring to IAEA as one of the reference and reasons for his attack to Iraq.
Yes,
which proved it to be by even his people that it was false statement. Syria, we see today what happened. It started in 2008 when CIA accused Syria that they have a nuclear reactor is for nuclear weapon production, which I proved it was a false statement. But Director General didn't really listen to me till now. Actually, they didn't listen to me, and you see, Syria is destroyed in reality, unfortunately. So Iran had a lot of trouble, but Iran was more stronger than the others, and therefore they were not able actually to attack Iran. And then now they make this agreement, which apparently some countries didn't like it, and Trump withdrew. Even his ex-president approved it.
Do you think Trump is changing the trend? In other words, will we see a different foreign policy, more, I don't want to say less biased, but because with the Palestinian scenario, we cannot say that the situation differed, but we see some developments. I mean, the situation with North Korea, with Iran, will he change? Do you see the policies being reversed?
My feeling is Trump will not continue. Trump do some very strange actions, and he does not respect the bodies or the rules actually in his country. Sometimes I'm happy with that, because as we see really that he didn't listen to his army, he didn't listen to his intelligence, he do whatever he think is correct. In fact, today when they said really, why you think really North Korea will follow what you say? He referred to him really, because of me, because of him. So I think he will go into some catastrophic decision, and I don't believe he will continue.
Should things not work out between North Korea and the United States? Should North Korea decide to go on with their tests or their nuclear program? What will be the scenario?
For a while, I don't think. We, of course, I didn't mention yet that a very important state has a lot of importance or contribution in the situation in the area, which is China. China is extremely important to North Korea. In fact, China is the only state who helped North Korea, not technically, but to avoid sanctions.
Yes.
It is their life depend really on China. And people say, American always try, Trump would say, I am the one who forced North Korea to come for negotiation and to go with South Korea, etc. That's propaganda. In reality, it is China. China is
who's the main mediator.
Is the main one, and it is the one who really, if they decided really that to pressure North Korea to abandon all the nuclear weapon, it might have a chance, but with certain conditions.
Even though China, US also, Trump did not have good words towards China as well when he came to office.
Correct. So they will not follow what Trump wants directly. They will take their time. They will see if there is a good achievement. And as I repeated, really, the main point really is the reunification between the North and the South. If that happens, really, I think there will be a lot of changes can happen.
With China as a growing power, especially in Asia and in the world, actually, China is a very, very strong economic power, and it will continue to be a strong economic power. Why would North and South Korea need the United States to bridge the gap? Why should they not rely on their neighbor, their back door?
Who make South Korea? South Korea actually is the United States and the allies. During the war, actually, North Korea occupied practically all South Korea, and like Vietnam, really,
yes.
The same. But it was the United States, and then from the start after war, economically, it was strong support from U.S. to South Korea became against China, became a very huge economical power in the area. I don't believe it's easy for South Korea to ignore United States. That actually there is still about 30,000 soldiers from United States is in South Korea. I wouldn't believe really it's easy. Of course, North Korea said they should leave. But I think South Korea will make some changes, but not to the extreme change to say we don't need you, U.S.
Speaking of soldiers, Trump said, or they agreed that North Korea will release the remains of the soldiers that died in Korea to the United States. How do you feel about this? And this move, is this not something that will make the American people sympathetic with him? I mean, you're bringing back the remains. I wouldn't say bodies, but the remains.
United States lost over 20,000 soldiers in the war. In reality, it was already this search for the remains of the American soldier started since long time. It's not the first time. But it was stopped from 2005. In fact, there was, the U.S. said, every soldier, you remain of the folder, we give you something like $20,000 or something like that. And they were doing actually, but politically when there is some problems, they stopped. So it was stopped from 2005. That's why for North Korea, of course, it's not a big deal. Yes, they can accept to do it. Why not? Actually, what remains is only 25% of the lost soldier. So it appears today as a nice gesture from North Korea to the American.
We have a minute left, and maybe I'd like to wrap up with, how do you see the future of nuclear power? Will we end it?
We today really I had a discussion with the Egyptian Council of Affairs where really we talked why actually we agreed to adhere to the non-proliferation treaty for life. What's happened in 1995. And it was strange really that we know really Israel does not accept really to sign. And we signed an agreement for life. Of course, there was a lot of story and it's need another hour to talk about that. But what I see really that it is quite difficult to convince Israel and even the three remaining to completely get rid of their weapon. We should still continue to press the 5 veto countries who having really a huge stock of nuclear weapon to abandon their nuclear weapon. We had to put a date, even after 20 years. But let us know really when you get rid completely.
Yes.
This is destroying to the humanity. People, we cannot really accept it to have it continuously. And the whole people, the whole world, against that, only the politician, but the people themselves against to have hold this nuclear weapon.
Dr. Yousry Abushady, thank you very much for your fruitful input. And indeed, the Israeli weapons of mass destruction issue needs hours to discuss, and we hope we can do this in the near future. I'd like to thank you again. Good night.